I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, you are. I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright.
Now tell somebody.
You, right? Here we go. Light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. You are a light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. Now,
How about we?
We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. We shine, we shine, we shine, we shine our light.
Yay. Have a seat. So we're going to go into a little short meditation. Jody Karkowski is our practitioner of the day. Afterwards, also, she'll be taking prayer requests in the back if you guys are interested. All right, all yours.
Ernest Holmes stated, "We believe in the unity of all life, that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel his indwelling presence. From this understanding, there is no such thing as unlikable. Instead, our individualized expression experiences personal preferences. Now is the time to shift from viewing the world through our personal lens and instead recognize that all life contributes positively to our planet and the wholeness of spirit. There is no hierarchy of life. Humanity is simply another aspect of spirit expressing itself. Nothing in God could possibly be unlikable. When we embrace this understanding, we can live and act from a place of unconditional love for all, thereby creating a world that works for all. And as we enter meditation, I invite you to affirm, I choose love over judgment, even when I encounter something I don't like. And as you bring your attention gently back to the sound of my voice, know that there is only God, and there is nothing outside of it, and it is eternal and infinite, all-knowing, all-powerful, and everywhere present. And it is good and only good. And as we unify with this consciousness of oneness, I know for each of us here that we are experiencing a divine, glorious time with Daniel Nahmod. And I give great thanks that I know that it isn't that we shouldn't judge. And the truth is that we cannot judge unless we know everything about every person, past, present, and future. We're not giving up anything by releasing judgment. We're only accepting that which is impossible to do. So I give great thanks today that we come together and with this incredible gathering of souls with open minds and open hearts, and with the technology and the wisdom coming through here and later online. So I give great thanks that this is so. I let it go, I let it be, and I say thank you, Mother, Father, God. And so it is. Okay. Now we get to hear from, where is he? Where'd he go? Daniel Nahmod. Hey, God.
Give Daniel a big clap.
What a blessing you're here. Yes.
For every hill there is a valley. For every winter the promise of spring. For your heartache there will be healing, though it's not easy remembering. For every tear there's comfort, I promise. For every midnight, the deep breath of dawn. But in the darkness, no one can blame us for wondering how everything went so wrong. For wondering when the lights will come back on. What if the sky is always blue? Just beyond the clouds. What if the only thing to do is live this life out loud? 'Cause it's gonna hurt sometimes, no matter what we do. Never mind the doubts, 'cause just beyond our view, I believe the sky is always blue. Here we go again. The headlines are screaming fear and division, diminished returns. But even in these dark days, let's keep on believing that the sun still brightly burns. Maybe that's what we are here to learn. What if the sky is always blue? Just beyond the clouds. If this is only an illusion, we can live this life right now. 'Cause it's gonna hurt sometimes, no matter what we do. Never mind the doubts, 'cause just beyond our view, I believe the sky is always blue. 'Cause it's gonna hurt sometimes, though we might know the truth. Never mind the doubts. Forget about those clouds. 'Cause just beyond our view, I believe the sky is always blue. My boy is 13 now, almost 14, Jude. And Jude and I have been doing something for the last, I think it's been gone on at least a year. We read to him, Melina and I, my wife and I, read to him really kind of every day of his life and every night for sure into bedtime. But at some point, he didn't really want to hear cute little stories, like, "Are you my mother?" There's so many great stories. And then we graduated to Daddy making up stories, which I enjoy doing, and they get sometimes ridiculous, and every so often they're accidentally good, but most of the time it's just kind of exhausting. I mean, I'm just sitting there and I'm just trying to think of something clever, and he's like, "Come on, Daddy, make up a story." And I invented a couple characters that we had recurring, which really worked, and then it's just very tiring to think of a new story every night. And then but maybe a year or a year and a half ago, I've always loved reading advice columns. I can't explain it. I mean, I always have. And one of the best advice columns I've ever read is a woman who syndicated through the Washington Post. Her name is Carolyn Hacks, and she's really very talented at giving advice, at least from my perspective. I mean, she's very clear, honest, compassionate. She's just good at the job. And but it used to be, when I was a kid, it was Ann Landers and Dear Abby. But now it's diversified, and the stories the letters, at least they feel a little more complicated than they were when I was a kid, and the responses are a lot wordier. Ann Landers, we don't like Ann Landers and Dear Abby because their responses, they still do it, whoever is doing it now, but the responses are usually 20 words, very pithy and unsatisfying. But Carolyn Hacks and a few other of the sort of more contemporary advice columnists write very thorough answers to very complicated questions. And maybe a year and a half ago, it occurred to me to just read an advice column to Jude, and then we would talk about it, and then we'd read the answer and see whether we agreed or disagreed. with the response. And that has become a nightly ritual now. We find an advice columnist. We started with Carolyn Hacks, and we read a lot of hers. And there are others, but we do very quickly determine whether somebody really deserves the job or not. It doesn't take us long. We're like, oh, no, that was Jude will be like, that. Jude literally said to one answer, that person is going to be single-handedly responsible for the end of all creativity on Earth with what they just said about artificial intelligence. And I'm like, wow, okay. Because somebody said, is it okay if I write my screenplay using artificial intelligence? I'm a professional screenwriter. Can I use artificial intelligence to write it? And Jude laying in bed, in the dark, says, if they want artificial intelligence to write their script, they should find another job. And I'm like, okay, it's a good answer. It was better than the professionals, Anyway, so just last night we read a letter it was from a guy who said, basically, I can't tell how this girl feels about me. We went on a couple of dates and nothing really happened and we didn't have much of a spark. And then she moved far away, and only after she moved did I realize she's the one. And now, but now when she comes into town, she doesn't tell me she's in town. And when I told her she's the one, she said she's not really interested in anyone right now. But when she comes into town and I see on social media that she's in town, I reach out to her and she says she's too busy. But then I see on her social media posts she's not too busy. She has lots of plans with lots of friends. What can I do to get her to realize that she's the one? By the way, you want to hear some great advice, or just a great little response from this particular advice columnist said. Are you ready? You can't decide someone is the one unless they agree with you. And Jude was like, Right. That makes sense. Right, because if they're not on board, they're not the one. But one of the things that this woman this letter was not from a particularly sophisticated writer. It was a young man for sure, and he was, in the throes of infatuation and had that obsessive love thing going. By the way, of course, the advice columnist said, you must unfollow everything about her social media. It is not appropriate. What she's doing with her life is not your business. You do know how she feels about you because she told you. Now, move on until you find someone who feels the same about you. It was very straightforward advice. But one of the things that she did say, because this guy was clearly struggling with, I told Jude, this is a common feeling. He's not putting it like a poet, but I was like, Jude, trust me, you're gonna feel this way about somebody, and it's not fun. And he's putting it clumsily, but it's a real thing. And you know what the advice columnist went out of the way to do, which is something that Jude and I are always looking for, is them taking an extra minute for real to be kind. They'll read about some terrible story, and the advice columnist will just go launching into something, and Jude and I are always like, you didn't even bother to say, I'm so sorry for your loss, or I'm so sorry that sounds painful. But this advice columnist this time said, telling her how you felt was very brave. And I'm like, right. Meet him where he's at, and give him a pat on the back, even if he's lost in this very familiar adolescent obsessive feeling. At least acknowledge that was a gutsy thing to do. And then say, and you now know she's not feeling the same way. But you told her, and that was brave, right? Now, it's going to sound like a non sequitur, but we're talking about, I was given this very fascinating title, to speak about today by Suzette. It was this unpacking. Was it unpacking unlikability and loving anyway? Okay. Now I can't help but think. Sorry, Danny digresses and Danny free associates. So I can't help but think about. Have you ever sat at a table sharing, like you're having a meal with somebody, let's say you've known for most of your life, a friend, okay? They order a dessert and it looks good. And there's only one spoon. So you grab the spoon and you have a bite. Most people, right? Now, I've always noticed that if somebody's squeamish about getting sick from somebody else's spoon, like you wouldn't do that to the table next to you, but the person sitting across from you, you would. But there is no practical difference in terms of cleanliness or hygiene between the person you've known most of your life and the person you haven't. There's no actual difference. There's just a feeling of a difference, right? And I actually think in terms of, okay, got that? So there's no real difference hygiene-wise. Now, I wanted to broach the subject and pose the question today, is there a difference between the known story of a person you love and the unknown story of a person you don't like? Okay? We all have, I'm going to assume that everybody in this room is of the utmost likability. Let's assume that no one in this room is disliked by anyone. And I congratulate you, okay? Okay, now, but I can also assume that everyone in this room can think of somebody that you actually really don't like. All right? Okay, now think of somebody that you truly love and even like, and ask yourself, do they have a personality trait that if you didn't know them well would be a kind of a deal breaker? Like somebody in your family or a close friend, I mean, for real, I'm not talking about my wife, but even a spouse, you know, that because you've gone way deeper with them, much more time, a couple of revealing conversations, you know their story. And so the OCD tendencies, you let them slide. Or the temper, sometimes you let them slide. Or the extreme messiness, you let it slide. Or the fact that this friend is always late. Or this friend never actually calls back. But when you actually catch them on the phone, it's the greatest conversation in the world, and it's an immediate connection. You know what I mean? Like, we all have somebody in our life that we let their humanity be okay. Okay? Now, if you can think of somebody like that, do you know their story? At least a little bit. Probably you do. Like, you may not know directly, and they might not even know directly, but you may not know directly, but you could kind of gather to some significant extent how they got to be that way. You have a friend who is very lazy, and it's not somebody that it's not something you would really tolerate from somebody you didn't know, but you know why they're lazy. Because their childhood was hell, because they were worked to the bone until they were 30. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can follow, if you can track a story, you can put into context this thing that would otherwise be unlikable. But because you know the story, got it. I have a friend who is absolutely obsessive compulsive about some of the wackiest crap you ever heard in your life. I mean, it would be, even she thinks it's nutty. It's funny in a way, because she's like, you won't believe what I couldn't do today at the restaurant with the silverware because I couldn't get it out of my mind where that silverware has been and this kind of thing. And but what I know about that person is that her early life was pretty close to hell. And I'm not a psychologist, but it's not complicated, not a stretch to kind of connect a complete lack of control for a first phase of a life to grasping for something to control in the next phase of life. I get it. And I would never, this friend who I love, I would never try to talk her out of these pretty bizarre efforts at control, because I know where they came from and I know what they're doing for her. That's her known story. I know it, and therefore, not a stretch for me to like her anyway. Right? Now, you got somebody in your mind like that, right? Who you like and love. Let's say in spite of, or including this thing that you would otherwise find unlikable. All right, now that unlikable thing, transfer it in your mind to somebody you actually don't like, and most likely don't know. You know, they have an unknown story. So, the sentence I led with, which I know sounded a little cryptic, is the unknown story less important than the known story? I mean, how many people do you know? By the way, this is not a lecture. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody, probably more. I'm a hypocrite completely about everything I talk about. So this isn't like somebody who's great at, well, I'm not great at this. I'm just talking about it, you know. So when you meet somebody who has a characteristic that you can't stand, rude to waiters. By the way, I also want to say as a disclaimer, nothing I'm talking about is about an abusive person, a cruel person. Nothing about, I'm not talking about, seeing the light shining through somebody who is actually hurting you. No. I'm talking about, for most of us, most relationships. Okay? Now, let me just put that out there, because this is not a discussion about forgiving or I wouldn't even talk about being compassionate to somebody who abused you. That's not my business. I'm talking about most things, most of the time. You like them, you don't like them. You can handle it, you can't handle it. I have a couple of terrible characteristics that are a couple of my most shameful, things about myself, right? It's going to sound, I don't know how it'll sound, actually. I can't possibly imagine how it'll sound. I interrupt. My mind runs fast. I don't mean like smart. I mean just fast. And I have a tendency, especially with someone who is more patient and more settled in their mind, calmer, who's choosing their words more carefully than I do, I'm specifically talking about my wife, but a lot of people too. But my wife is a very meticulous, careful person. And when she speaks, she means it. She doesn't use extra words. She's a rare person who doesn't express an opinion about something that she knows nothing about. She actually just keeps her mouth shut. You could spend a lot of time with her and not know how much she knows, because she doesn't need to lord her knowledge over somebody. If you ask, she'll tell you, and she won't tell you twice. If you ignore her advice or disregard, she hasn't. It's really like Zen master stuff, compared to myself and compared to a lot of people who want you to know what they know, and she doesn't need you to know what she knows. Okay, I interrupt her. It's absolutely shameful, and I do it. And most of the time, the sad part is she lets me do it, meaning she doesn't fight back, because in her world she doesn't demand to be heard. Right? It's not how she is. So I can't even imagine how many times I've interrupted her that she's never said anything. And when she does say something, it's because I've pushed it and kept interrupting. And she's tried to say something that mattered to say out loud, and I couldn't let the sentence finish. Okay? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and assume she loves me anyway and likes me anyway, right? So it's a flaw, and I'm actually ashamed of it. I'm not being, this is not a shtick, I actually am ashamed of doing it. But she also knows that I have a revved up mind, that I have actual ADD, that I'm not proud of. I eat too much sugar. I don't sleep enough. And I am, more concretely, more specifically, in our life together, I am doing a lot of things. So she has a much more leisurely life. She is a stay-at-home mom who makes jewelry, and she's very aware of the fact that even though she's not, I joke with her, she did not marry the independent singer-songwriter for his money, I'm not saying I didn't bring a fortune to the table. There's no trust fund, nothing like that. But I do provide most of the livelihood for the family, and in doing that, I am doing a comical number of things at the same time. For 26, 27 years now, 7 days a week, I am always working, or I'm thinking about it. And she knows that. And a part of the busy mind for me is, in fact, and she knows this, is me taking care of my family, even when it looks like, and even when I ought to be, just sitting watching a show or playing cards. My mind is still doing other things, and she knows that, and she has compassion. She knows my story. Now, if I was a stranger and she tried to talk and was interrupted 3 times in a row, I don't even know if she'd wait 3 times before just flat out giving up, or certainly concluding very clearly, this is a person who does not care what I have to say at all, which she knows is not true about me, because she knows my story. She knows why I'm interrupting. I'm not proud of it. I'm the opposite of proud of it. But she knows why it's happening. Okay? So now think about somebody in your life who you can't stand, really, because we have all got them. Somebody who you think is a blowhard, unkind, arrogant. Now, when I say I don't often quote the Bible, I mean I never quote the Bible. Even though I grew up in a Jewish home and I could quote some Bible stories, but it just doesn't come to mind. But the phrase, everyone knows the phrase, do unto others as you would have done unto you. The golden rule, which exists in pretty much, as far as I know, all the world's major religions in one form or another. Okay? If I show up with my wife and interrupt her all those times, I am hoping, a little boy inside me for sure, is actually hoping that she will see past the behavior that is annoying her and remember my story and love me anyway, right? Don't you want somebody to do that for you? Because, again, I know that no one in this room has an unlikable characteristic. But just imagine you did, right? Imagine you are at the end of your patience because multiple seriously, actually stressful things are happening in your life. You've just come from the doctor, and you've just gotten a scary lab test back. Most of us have had that moment, if not all of us. Okay? Now, that day in the grocery store, you may or may not be as polite as you like to think of yourself as. Maybe it's too much to ask from the stranger who you cut off with your cart. But wouldn't you at least hypothetically, wouldn't you at least dream that in a perfect world, it's too loose a phrase, but in a perfect world, that the person who you cut off might, rather than lashing out instantly, might take a second and look at your face and see tear stains, right? Or worry lines, which, see it on you that you are not having the best day. It doesn't happen most of the time, but wouldn't you want it to happen? That somebody would turn around and say, "Are you okay?" Instead of, "Hey, jerk." Right? In fact, Jude had another one of those moments last night. We're driving. Picked him up from a friend. I was watching the game, the baseball game, World Series, and he was at a friend, and I picked him up, and on their way back, honest to God, on just a street near our house, a car, it's a 2-lane road, 2-lane each direction, a wide street, and a car comes ripping around a corner right up to behind me, and I'm just kind of casually strolling home with my boy in the dark, at night. There's no hurry. It's Sunday night, whatever it is. Or no, it's Saturday night. And this car, instead of going around me, comes up like they're in Le Mans, and honks at me to speed up or whatever, or get out of their way, even though they could have absolutely just gone around me they must have been going 60 miles an hour, and I'm going 25, and they honk, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to get out of their way. And you know what Jude said? Maybe they're having an emergency. Right? And I said, well, and I do talk this way to Jude. I said, that's a charitable interpretation. And he said, I think people, he really did say this last night, and I'm not saying my son is, a Zen master like that, but I'm just saying, he said, I think maybe more people are having emergencies than we realize. And now, no matter who had said that, it would have perked my ears up. Because if you really think about the stories that we don't know, are the stories we don't know less important than the stories of the loved ones that we do know? Are they less important? Do they impact that person who cut you off any less than the OCD of the friend whose story you know well? Is one story more important? Is there something inherently more important about the person you know than the person you don't? I once saw a sign in a church I sang at a long time ago in Canada. I never forgot this sign. It said, "There are no strangers, only friends you haven't yet met." Right? Now that's a sweet sentiment, but it is also true that there are no strangers, only people whose stories you haven't yet heard. And again, I am not talking about the 10% of behavior that is actually abusive, hurtful, cruel. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the happy middle, the most of us most of the time. If you don't know the story, does that mean it isn't worth a little bit of patience, a little bit of forgiveness? And wouldn't you want to be extended the same? So are you, when you or I, again, this is not a lecture. Sorry if it sounds like it. It's really not. But when we're confronted with something with a person that we find unlikable, can we imagine a story that might have made them that way? Did you ever have the thought, it's a little smug, but it kind of makes me happy sometimes. If somebody seems like just to be horrible, a horrible person. I can think of a few in public life right now. They're truly horrible people, right? I can think of a few. By the way, plug in any person you want. You don't know what party I'm in or anything else. All right? I can think of a few horrible people, okay? This is the smug thought. They're already being punished because they have to be them. Sorry. It's a smug thing to say, but you watch behavior, and again, you can guess who I'm thinking of, but you don't know who I'm thinking of. Whoever you think of when I say somebody in the public life who seems just flat out awful, they have to be awful. That's a punishment. Do we need to heap our own hatred on them? Does our hatred hurt them or heal them? Or does it actually mostly hurt us? Sorry. I mean, in other words, even if you were to embark on a do unto others campaign in this area, this likability area, and even if you were to embark on it strictly and specifically for selfish reasons, that feels like a good reason. Because to walk around assuming the best and imagining the story that could have made somebody be such a way, you can't help but crack open a tiny bit. You can't help it. You can't help if you watch a broken adult. You can lash out at them and hate them. And I do. But if you were to take 30 seconds, and I'm not saying you don't, or if I were to, and imagine How would someone arrive at that? You could break your own heart with your own imagination, I bet. You could feel at least a little, if not a lot, of compassion for such a person. Because it's not rocket science. Somebody who has a deeply unlikable characteristic, someone who thinks cruel is cool, let's say, or that rude is funny. It's not, you don't need a wild imagination to put that into some perspective. You have friends in your life who are probably perceived that way by other people, but you don't see them that way because you know their story. Plug the story into the person you don't know. And imagine, how would I feel then? Would I eat ice cream with their spoon if they were sitting at my table? Would I let that slide? You might. Are they an actual stranger or just someone whose story you haven't kind of accidentally gotten to hear? We have large-scale and small-scale examples of how universal hurts are. We know that everybody hurts. And we know that everybody gets broken and disappointed by something or a lot of things. We know it. We also know how people rise up and they may claim to hate an entire group, but if an individual member of that group knocks on their door in the middle of the night because their car ran out of gas, or they're having a heart attack on the side of the road and crash their car, who's the first person to jump out and try to save their life? On an individual basis, we each have room. We really do. We have room for kindness and compassion for approximately anyone. Right? So the unlikability is not an imagination. It's not fake. It's not fiction. It's real. Some people do awful things, say awful things, represent awful ideas publicly. Some people hurt us, lie to us, make us wait at restaurants, or have crazy behaviors or habits that are just kind of unbearable or interrupt. Right? But to take a few minutes to consider how they might have gotten that way, and to acknowledge that you and I have traits too, that we would hope somebody would give us a little bit of grace about. It's not even to forgive. And it's not to even to, in other words, this is only, even if it's only for your sake and my sake, and not for the other person, not to make the world a more lovely place, just to have a better day, is to, when somebody cuts you off, to have the thought, they might be having an emergency. Or they might have just come from the doctor and gotten a terrible diagnosis or prognosis or lab test back. Somebody's spouse may have just died, or may have just filed for divorce. Somebody's kid may have just broken a bone or had their heart broken. Somebody, right? There's no way of knowing, but the way we know that there are those stories is because the people we know tell us those stories, and we forgive them, and we love them. And the unlikability it's like what happens when somebody dies. I've found this over the years. When somebody dies, the things that were annoying about them are gone, and it's like it leaves like an actual affection for somebody you might not have liked at all when they were alive. And it's a magical thing that the illusion, the humanness, the brokenness, the temper, the impatience, the flaws were superficial to begin with. Would you love this person you don't like? Would you love them if you met them as a newborn baby? Because that was before whatever crap turned them into the monster. The horrible coworker, or the greedy banker, or whatever it is. Before then, they were just like you and me, and fully and thoroughly loved and lovable. And that person's still in there. You've had to be strong for so long. You don't remember who you are. But when I see you, I see myself too. I know the child hidden in your heart. You're only human like me. You're lonely sometimes like me. You're longing for love like me. You're just like me. I know the ones who most hurt you are those you trusted most of all. But to forgive them is to live again and heal the heart of that child so small. You're only human like me. You're lonely sometimes like me. You're longing for love like me. You're just like me. We cry for a safe place, a quiet space to be, where a soul shows its true face, where love flies free. You're only human like me. You're lonely sometimes like me. You're longing for love like me. You're just like me. I understand. You're just like me. I've never understood how you turned out so good with all that you've had to endure. No one expected you to make the best of you. The deck stacked against you for sure. The more that I learn, the more I admire how you never got burned being forged in the fire. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, made of muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine. You never talk about when you first figured out that you'd have to go it alone. It breaks my heart to picture you, a child hiding out of you, so young to fight on your own. But still here you stand, and still here you are, igniting the world with your luminous heart. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine, and that would explain how you never admitted pain. So let me just say that child has a lot to be proud of, but no longer needs to keep the world at bay. If you were mortal, you'd have quit by now. You've been counted out so many times. You're human like me. You can bruise, you can bleed, but you must have steel in your spine. Yeah, mortal would have quit by now, but your light was determined to shine. There's so much more than they see, a superhero to me. You must have steel in your spine. You must have steel in your spine.
I'm wondering if you could do maybe 10 minutes of some of your really happy stuff. No, I want you to sing.
You guys okay with? I mean,
I know I've overstayed already.
Overstaying is kind of my. That'll be another minor flaw.
We don't mind.
Well, so if somebody has to pee, I understand.
No, we have a bathroom back there.
Sure.
How about God makes me want to sing?
I'll take that one under advisement. That's a possibility. Let's see. Sure. Want to sing it with me? You forgot the words, didn't you? It's okay. Let's try it again. Here we go. Shouldn't I be grown up by now? Shouldn't I have finally figured out a few things? I ain't a kid anymore. Didn't I go through this back then? Why the hell do I need to again? Who said time was a cure? For a minute I'm the man that I wanna be, then up comes some adult non-emergency, and my costume comes apart. And I've lost count of the steps and the slips and bad habits I was sure would lose their grip, but still clinging to my heart. And I'm wondering why I learn and I forget, yeah I learn and I forget, oh I learn like I'm just getting started. Why do I learn and I forget, yeah I learn and I forget, oh I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. Do 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 do. Oh, I wish I could say wisdom comes with age, but lately I ain't so sure. At the end of the day, I just hope I've made a mistake I never made before. Tell me why I learn and I forget, yeah I learn and I forget, oh I learn like I'm just getting started. Why do I learn and I forget, yeah I learn and I forget, oh I learn life ain't for the faint-hearted. Oh, why do I learn and I forget, yeah I learn and I forget, oh I learn like I'm just getting started. Why, oh why do I learn and I forget, yeah I learn and I forget, oh I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. Do 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 do. I learn and I forget. Do 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 do. Life ain't for the faint-hearted. No. All right. You want one more? See that? One more? I'm not out of songs. Not even close to out of songs, but well, okay. This is a song that certainly came to mind today on the theme. So let's sing this together. And by the way, before I go, I want to first of all thank you for having me, and you know, I appreciate it, and I have just a couple things to mention that are a little weird over on a table. Normally you would expect CDs or music of some kind, and I have those, and I have a flash drive that has 14 albums on it at this point with lyrics, and it's like 11 or 12 hours of music on there from the last 25 years. And then I have my wife's jewelry. She makes jewelry like I described, very meticulous, so it's very beautiful things. She's self-taught silversmith, so it's nice stuff that she makes, and I always proudly display it. And then the last thing I'll mention is I led a group to Peru this past May, and I'm leading a group to Peru this coming May, and a group to England and Scotland next October. If that interests you at all, stop by and ask me about it. Okay, so here we go. This is a song that definitely feels like on the subject for today. Maybe it's a subject for every day. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. You sing with me? Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start, can tell me to start. Once I decide, and once I decide to change my mind, to change my mind, God will show me how. God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me. It's up to me to stand on that bridge, to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive, can make me forgive. Once I decide to change my mind, to change my mind, God will show me how. God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now, right here and now. One more time. Love is my decision. It's up to me. It's up to me to dance down that road, to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load, can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. My decision right here